when Cotter called me like on Tuesday night to be like, because he texted me being like, it's probably not gonna happen, so like don't get your hopes up, but like we were talking about maybe doing Kashmir, and it's like probably not gonna happen, but like maybe we were thinking of having you come sing it. And I was like, I started like panting and like sweating. And then like 2 hours later he called me and he's like, you're in, dude. Like,
gulp.
Like,
hello folks, welcome back to the Best Show Ever podcast, the podcast where we talk about the best shows that people have ever seen in their lives. And I'm your host, Cam Herdt, and welcome back to another season. It's season 4 of the Best Show Ever podcast. If you're just tuning in now to this excellent episode, we've got a whole bunch of other episodes in seasons 1, 2, and 3 that are fantastic conversations about people's best shows ever. But this episode, I'm kicking off the season with 2 just dynamite episodes. One of them being from Cotter Ellis, drummer from Goose, just fantastic dude, who has just been on the ride of his life so far over the last year, becoming the new drummer of Goose. And I've also interviewed his good buddy in this episode, Nico Suave. Nico is the lead singer of Nico Suave and the Mothership, a band that Cotter formerly played with. Nico sat in with Goose at Goosemas this year in Charleston and sang Kashmir in a major highlight for that weekend. A major highlight for me seeing Goose. That was just an incredible moment. And we got to hang out a little bit that weekend. We got to kind of chop it up. We got to talk about how crazy of an event that is to take the stage at a stadium with Goose in front of 10,000 people. And right, luckily she was like, let's talk about this on the podcast right when I get back. So this is the week following Goosemas. We hop on Google Meet, we chat about the show, we chat about just performing, being a performer, the life of someone who's trying to make it. Anyone who has seen Nico perform before knows that she has just got so much talent. Not only is she singing, she does comedy as well. She does stand-up comedy in Vermont. She's playing instruments. She talks about picking up new instruments and things like that. It's a great episode for someone who's like, man, I want to make stuff. I want to talk about making stuff. I want to be around someone who is just kind of on fire and just trying stuff out. And Nico doesn't just try stuff out. She's just immensely talented in all these things. And it's really, really fun to watch her go. She also performed at Mondegreen with Cotter and Brian Murray from Dogs in a Pile. They kind of did a Mothership set featuring Brian Murray. And that was, again, also one of the highlights of Mondegreen. So if you're new to Nico, get hip to Nico. If you're new to the Burlington scene of people, I also interview a comedian from that scene, Max Higgins, in an earlier episode. But we got just an amazing musician, vocalist, comedian, person on this episode right now. This is enough of the intro. I'll get out of the way so you can have all the time in the world with Nico Suave from Nico Suave and the Mothership. But first, here's a little bit of music from Loom. It's a new song coming out this week. Enjoy.
what a fucking weekend.
What a weekend. We're not going to talk about it at all, I'm sure.
No, definitely not. It didn't even make the top 5 for best shows ever.
Sorry, boys.
Yeah.
I've seen some good ones.
It's just all Phish. That's all it is.
I wore my Vermont shit.
Oh, hell yeah.
I got my
Nice.
Forbins going. What's
Amazing. I got my Forbins on. I got my swim trunks.
Truly. I am kind of in swim trunks right now.
What is it? Oh my God, I see your ball in the background.
Got the ball.
Dude.
That's the ball.
That's
right
amazing.
There. Yep.
The ball
Rick's like, don't keep that. I'm like, no, I'm keeping it.
That's property of the, Dunks R Us, the Charleston Dunk Tank Emporium.
Oh yeah, they got dinged for that this morning. Goose got billed.
Yeah. They got charged with not returning all the property.
They don't make these anymore, okay? It's
Yeah,
not cheap. They just replaced that.
it's okay. They just returned. They just sent like a pile of shame from you and your throws.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like the least athletic person in the world. So
Yeah. No, you probably got a fucking gun. You probably just got a fucking
I'm a
dart
good
for an arm.
I'm a good arm wrestler, but I have no coordination.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
that's not true. I was bowling the other day. I still have to bowl with the gutters up.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they pluck a lot of people out of the crowd for the throw, and it doesn't go well. But hey, it was an honor to be booed by 10,000 people. You didn't. You certainly did not get booed by 10,000 people, but it was an honor to get booed by that crowd.
You're just warming up for your big bomb in front of, auditorium sized audience.
I left. So after Thursday, I did the show, and I left that show being like, I'm gonna do more shows, and I'm gonna do more live stuff. And then I left the Goose show being like, I'm gonna work on my arm. Fuck the shows. I'm just going to there's a baseball diamond across the street from my house, and I'm gonna be putting in hours over there.
Yeah. How old are you? 31, 32?
32 going on 33. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. There's still time to become a pro baseball player.
Oh yeah.
I heard the softball league's hiring.
I want to be in the big leagues when I grow up.
I still think of things like when I grow up as if I'm not grown.
Yeah, as if we're not fully in our 30s.
No, there's like still time for me to be a child prodigy at something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a child savant at podcasting.
Perfect.
Thanks for doing this. I'm stoked I just had so much fun hanging with you over the weekend. It was great to get to chat as two comedians and also just to be around your fucking orbit after the huge Kashmir. It was so sick, and so thanks for wanting to be on the pod.
Oh, of course, dude. I was so grateful that you guys absorbed me into your Wook crew for the Saturday show.
You're like, you guys aren't going to bed, right? Because
yeah.
I'm not going to bed.
I'm not going to bed ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so much fun, and that was sweet, and we will talk about that at length. I'm sure. But before we get into all of your best shows and your best times and all of the best times of your life, I got to hear about the first show you ever saw in your life.
The year was 1996. The band was Hanson.
Whoa, yeah, dude.
I think I've just always had a thing for like fruity boys with long hair. That's I feel like that, like, and who sing lyrics that aren't really discernible, because I love Eddie Vedder and he fits that bill too.
Yeah.
I know it was at Jones Beach. I remember when my parents told me, I lost my shit because I was a huge Hanson fan. I had 3-car garage. There was their CD. Yeah. There was, it included Mbop and whatever the hell else they wrote. And
oh, man.
I remember being way in the back at Jones Beach. Like I couldn't see anything. I was like looking at butts in front of me because I was 5. And so I was not tall. And just like that, I mean, I was hooked before that for sure. I've been hooked on live music like as long as like before my sentient memories kick in. But that was my first show. I don't remember much because again, I was 5.
Mbop is just electric. It's just such a lightning bolt of a tune. And it does. Yeah, at the time, it was mega huge. I was also like 6 years old at that time. And it was just, yeah, that's one of the first songs I knew, that was like on the radio or something, was Mbop.
Were you a Hanson fan?
To say fan, I think I had a book. I think I had a Hanson book. Like they were on the cover of like a hardcover, like maybe 15-page book about something.
Mormonism?
Yeah, more about being Mormon brothers. And it's okay to be in love with your brothers. No, yeah, I mean like I wish I knew the other song. There's another Hanson song on that album too. That gets overlooked. That's like the kind of weird little brother song to Mbop. But that was probably one of the first cassettes that I got to play in my room. It
Yes.
was like that, and Lil Bow Wow was probably one of the next ones.
All
I
of
probably grabbed a Lil Bow Wow tape.
the Now That's What I Call Music series was.
Yeah. That was what all the soft kids in my school were listening to. I got the real fucking Lil Bow Wow
The
cassette.
Little Bow Wow cassette
The
tape.
real one.
Yeah, that was that you got off the bootleg tapers at the Little Bow Wow lot.
Yeah, at the Target in my hometown. There's tapers.
Yeah. No, Hanson was quickly followed up, I think, by Backstreet Boys. And I went and saw it was like First Ladies Tour. I think I was 12, and it was Missy Elliott, Alicia Keys, and Beyonce.
Whoa.
I know.
Then.
Yes, then all three of them in one show.
They weren't those names then. I mean, they were. I mean, I'm sure the performance was incredible, but that wasn't Beyonce yet. It wasn't like Alicia Keys yet, you know?
Oh, I think Alicia Keys, as soon as she came out with that, I keep on falling.
Yeah.
Like that. I remember every girl in 7th grade thought they could do vocal runs like that and tried to sing like we were in a very white town and they were trying to sing like they were not.
Yeah, same. Every little girl in Wisconsin was doing that song. Everyone was doing Christina Aguilera too. People were really going for Christina Aguilera.
My God, we were children. We were mere children, and we were watching highly sexualized. Like, it was a pretty golden age of music, though. Like the Nelly years, the Lil Jon and the East Side Boy years.
Yeah, that I look upon that fondly. That's kind of like a separate. That's like our 80s, you know. Like that's like a. It's a kind of a messy musical time, but there's some real gems in there, you know, like the early 2000s was kind of a weird, you know, you got boy bands and pop punk and then like rock bands using like guys with turntables. You get like Incubus and Linkin Park out of that time and stuff, but I'm all down with that. I'm down with all that.
They were all on one CD called Now That's What I Call Music. It was like the most insane compilation of songs.
Now here's what I call a mess of music.
Yeah,
and kids are singing it.
God, and that was
Kids Bop.
Oh yeah, oh my God, Kids Bop. I still don't know the correct lyrics to Mumbo Number 5 because of Disney Radio like amended them, and that was something that was always being played in my car. It was like it replaced all the like dirty stuff with like I want some ice cream and I really don't want to like.
Pop radio is doing the same thing though. They were like adding little intros with their own radio station onto songs. There'll be like a Neo song, but like Kiss FM would kind of fuck up the first verse with like. Oh, it's the holiday jam of the year. Whatever the thing. They like do their little radio plug in the middle of the guy's fucking song that he got on the radio.
Oh my God. And then I was also in now we're just going off of like here's the arc of my musical experience because I had a deep emo phase. Were you an emo kid?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, like if you're in a small town area, like that's a lot of that's ripe for emo fandom. And so there was a lot of like the Cartel and like We the Kings or like, and then like even like the bigger like names like All Time Low. Like I somehow saw All Time Low like 7 times in high school or some shit like that. Like
All Time Low. I don't know if I ever knew them. I was really big into From First to Last.
Oh, like real emo stuff. That was like pop punk, what I was just saying.
Okay.
That was like the radio bullshit. Okay.
This
You're
was
like talking like Hawthorne Heights.
Oh yeah. Like
okay.
come on, blah, blah. Like just like getting punched in the face at like some random underground venue where you could still smoke inside. Like
I got punched in the face on Warped Tour by someone so much shorter than me and just drilled in the face in a circle pit.
If you didn't get punched in the face at Warped Tour, did you even really go to Warped Tour?
No. If a security guard didn't throw you on the ground after you crowd surfed,
yes,
it's like there's a way to get me out of here where you didn't have to throw me on the ground.
I think I got dropped. I think I was crowd surfing during Thursday, and I got like groped and dropped in like quick succession. And
one
was like,
foul swoop.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a woman now.
Wow. I've really come into my own. I
Yep.
just got grope dropped at Vans Warped Tour. Thank you, Vans.
I mean, that's one thing me and Rick now have in common, or me and Peter have in common. Is
Crowd surfed and dropped.
crowd surf, grope dropped.
Oh, he certainly got grope dropped. You didn't have a nice flamingo to ride on, though. Now you're a star. Now you've got a flamingo, I'm sure.
I mean, I'm always riding this flamingo down here, but sorry,
Yeah.
that's just what I call my vagina.
And of course, you always have your vagina flamingo on you. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
talking about your new celebrity chariot flamingo that you can ride over people on.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did with my newfound fame and glory was order a flamingo chariot.
I saw you at the airport riding over people.
Yeah, thank you. That's how I go through TSA now.
Carried you to your gate.
Yes. No, I make the members of Perpetual Groove drag me around on a pig flamingo.
Fellas,
I'm
it's
waiting.
Like squish. Squishing you down the hallway.
Oh man. No,
Oh,
damn, dude.
That starts getting into worst show territory, talking about getting punched in the face. Do you have a worst show that you ever saw?
So like I have 4 choices on my list. 2 of them involve me like not, it wasn't a full show that I played, but they involved me sitting in or opening. I think this is like the best story for the worst show. It's not quite the worst show I ever attended, but it was because of the embarrassment that I brought upon myself. I was working at a club in Burlington called the Radio Bean, and it was my birthday. And earlier in the day, I was like chatting with some dude who came in. I did not know that dude was Marco Benevento. And he was like, I'm playing tonight, like blah blah blah, like you're a singer, you should totally come and sing a song. Like he was so nice. And it was my birthday, and my band Grundle Funk, rest in peace.
Incredible name.
We were playing at like a dive pizza joint downtown, and since it was my birthday, there was like I did a lot of shots, and I think I was getting over like a bout of bronchitis, and so by the end of that show I was hammered, and kind of sounded like this, and I ran up to the Radio Bean and I looked through the window, and lo and behold, Mike Gordon is sitting in with Marco. And I had just started working in there, so I didn't have to wait on the line. I got to like pop right in and was like right in the front getting down, and they were like, oh my God, like get up here, like it's your birthday, come sing a song. The song that they asked me to sing was Benny and the Jets. Which is
this guy.
Which famously is like high pitched and difficult for me to sing on like a good day. Like, and I got up there, I saddled up next to Marco at the piano bench, and I held this microphone and I croaked my way through Benny and the Jets. And I heard a recording afterward, and it is like, Benny and the Jets. Like it is. Like, I was like, I'll like in front of Mike Gordon, no less. Like it was who was my absolute hero. And I was like, I just committed musical suicide. Like, it's over for me. I'm done.
Yeah. It's Benny and the Jets, dog.
I wish I had just I wish I was like did comedy at that point, because I would have just leaned into doing it, like like Benny and the Jets
and the friggin' Jets. I hate the friggin' Jets.
Oh, Candy and Ronnie, have you seen them yet? Oh, this is so I would have just like William Shatner through it.
Right. Oh shit.
So that was like one of the worst show experiences. But in terms of being like an attendee, and I hate to do this because I truly love this band, and it was not their fault that it was my worst show. But it was Biscuits New Year's Eve 2012.
Sure.
It's my first Biscuits show. I was coming off hot of seeing Phish every night prior to that, and with a whole bunch of people that were not quite Biscuits fan. We had like one Biscuits fan, and I don't know if it was like because of my age and my like sort of noviceness in the scene, that there to me was like a big differentiation between the vibes of Phish fans and the vibes of Biscuits fans.
Oh, You're not wrong.
Okay.
You weren't wrong in 2012.
Okay. There was like Phish had this like wholesome, like at least where I grew up in Wilton, it was like you wore khaki pants and Phish shirts and you were like had flippy blonde hair and it was just like, yippee, we're going to Phish. Like, and Biscuits was like, we're crawling on the ground on a street in Philly. Like, yeah. Like it was that kind of
It's
a
a
vibe.
little dirtier.
It was
a little nastier.
and I was pretty like new. I don't even think I'd been to Camp Bisco yet. No, I think that must have been the following year. But I don't think I'd seen the Biscuits before. And it was in Madison Square Garden, but it was in the basement. It was like the theater, which is below, far underground. And so like we our crew took like a limo from Westchester. We took, and I'm going to incriminate myself, but we took some of probably the strongest acid I've ever eaten to this day, like on the limo. And we had a jar of mayonnaise that we had emptied out and filled with vanilla pudding. And so we're hanging out the sides of this limousine, just like looking at the merrymakers of New Year's Eve in New York City, just like shoveling what looks like mayonnaise into our mouth, just being absolute hooligans. And we get to Madison Square Garden and my brain's like, okay, great, we're gonna go do the same thing we've done. But no, we get led like down deep into the dark. And it felt like we were being taken to like a basement, like to be held hostage or something like that. It had a very like menacing vibe. And we get there and like we're spun as hell. And there like an usher tries to like take us to our seats. And I'm like, what is happening? Like it's in like a Broadway style theater. Yeah. It's like not like anything I'd seen. And I was just like confused the whole time. It was the kind of trip where I was like, I need to be outside, like rolling around in the grass. At some point, like my friend handed me an ice cream cone and I like was like, where did you get this? And I like sort of nervously ate the whole thing. And then like not that long later, this is also very embarrassing. I threw up into a paper cup.
Like, oh yeah, I ate that thing way
too fast, and was doing all kinds of other things. And so I'm just like standing there during the ladies for the rest of the night, and I'm just like, oh God, and like grab like a paper Coca-Cola cup from my friend and just like puked in a cup. And it was like this is not good. And like I think someone pooped on the floor that night. Like it was heinous. And like and then when they rang in the new year, I like looked at my phone and it was like 12:56 or 11:56. It wasn't even like actually midnight yet.
Everything was just so off.
It was just so off
at every turn.
It was like, and I think some people, and I wasn't the only one having that time. It was like our whole group just kind of like looking at each other with those like that energy when it's like set break and you don't know how to talk to the people around you. It was like that feeling, but the whole show. And I think some people were like traumatized by like the Biscuits and like didn't see them again for a long time. But I love them now. Like I was a child. I didn't know.
You are not the only person who has brought up the Biscuits as having a worst show moment. I even think Cotter might have been his worst show. Might have been a Biscuits show too. But huge Biscuits guy, loves them.
Yeah.
So like it. It's almost never their fault. I've left a Biscuits show early because I was just like, I just can't. I can't get squeezed into these people anymore, and I'm about to pass out in the middle of the crowd.
Yep.
Or like it's, like that was like a really tight venue. I don't know. There's really great shows, and you go back and see them again, and like it's a great time. But yeah, they also invite you to be super. You can feel like you can get super spun there, and so that can obviously make things a little weirder.
Yeah. Especially, I feel like there's this club kid sort of vibe that I was not familiar with. It was like I went from 3 or 4 nights of like golf dads to just to grimy rape scene.
Which is, golf dads, it's its own weird type of scene. You're trying to be spun and there's golf dads out there. you know?
And they're drinking beers. They're having a time, you know. I grew up in Gulf Dad, USA.
Same.
Yeah. Where did you grow
I
up
mean, look,
again?
look at me.
Midwest. Oh yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
me. I look like a golf dad's son, you know, because I am one. My brother works in golf. Okay. It's one of the best books I know.
We works in golf. That's
Yeah, he works at a golf course. Yeah, he works at like a super fancy golf course in Arizona where they're like Michael Phelps golfs at and shit.
I bet he's good. He's got long arms.
He's oh, he's got long arms. That Kyle.
he holds it way down by the end of the stick.
Oh yeah, big time. No, he's really good. Yeah, we grew up in golf area. It's like Wisconsin feels so Connecticut in the Midwest, you know, like Wisconsin next to Chicago is kind of like, you know, we live out in the country, you know, there's a lot of khakis, there's a lot of like flippy hair blonde guys like you were saying. Loop-de-loo, we're going to the Dave Matthews show in Wisconsin, and like all this like Phish almost feels like the Biscuits in Wisconsin sometimes to some people. They're like, whoa.
Yes.
You know, even softer somehow. A lot more milk, a lot more cheese, a lot more church, a lot of church.
Ooh, yeah, we didn't have that church influence.
Whole lot of church, a lot of less hippies, but there are wooks. You know what I mean? Less hippies, more wooks.
Interesting. Yeah, this was mostly hippies. Wooks, we were all too vanilla to be wooks yet. Everyone was like too clean cut and had trust funds, and I
didn't have the trust fund, but I was too clean. I couldn't do the wook look. Like the kids who liked Phish from my town were full on the whole costume.
With the dreads and everything,
pants and the everything, yeah. But there was mostly a lot of more clean cut kids like me that like just was like, there's no way my mom will let me dress like that, you know.
I tried to get my mom to like. I remember trying to convince my mom to let me get dreadlocks because that's just what happens to my hair if I don't brush it or do anything to it. Is it just naturally wants to be dreadlocks. It was pulling me into the lot scene from a young age.
It would be ridiculous if I tried to pull that up. I have the straightest, whitest guy hair of all time. It would be like, stop it. Stop doing that. And I said it's like I didn't dress that way because my mom wouldn't let me. It was probably because like Abby Luco wouldn't have thought it was cute, and so that's why I didn't dress like that. Really?
Where's she now? Where's Abby Luco now, man?
Dude, who fucking knows? No, she's doing good. She's back home, married. Dude, awesome.
I was
never went to one Phish show, so.
God, no, I was racing ahead of my age in high school. And actually like when I was backstage after the show at Forest Hills with Goose when they played there this past summer, Rick told me a story that haunted me of his memory of me from middle school. And it was me like tongue making out with like my boyfriend Carlos at the time, just like a nasty like 12 years old makeout session. And apparently this like imprinted itself into Rick's mind as being like, oh, whoa, like she's way ahead of me. And it was
I think that was oh man, Greta Thompson or something from my hometown. Yep. It was like, wow, you made out with someone already? With reckless abandon?
With reckless in public too, with reckless abandon, like against blockers. Yeah.
Damn.
No, I was racing to become an adult, and now I'm desperately clinging to childhood as best I can.
You're doing comedy and singing your heart out, baby.
I know. I'm like, I will never have a retirement fund or a 401k. I hopefully someday, but I mean, I still don't have a credit card. That's how 15 at heart I am still.
That's us. They'll make a retirement home for people who still have to go to work at the dispensary. And for people like us who just want to do little shows for each other.
I know. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It is hard. It is very difficult to pick your best show ever. So do you have any shows that you would be just remiss not to bring up on the podcast?
I think there's a couple. Yeah, I have there's a couple on my list. I mean, my first Phish show, which was fall, I missed Hampton because I got into Phish, I think, like my junior year of high school. And I was sitting in the back of a minivan, smoking weed as one does.
As one does.
As one does at 16. And we were listening to Vegas 97, I think. Yeah. And it was like the Harpua with like Les Claypool doing the Wildwood Weed and that whole thing. Yeah. And I fell in love. And I never thought Phish would get back together. I never thought that I would ever see them live. They got back together. I drove to Albany from going to college in Burlington. And it was November 27th, 2009. And I feel like there's something that's so magic about the first time you see them if you've been a fan for a while, because like every single song that they play, you're like, oh my God,
fucking Reba.
Yeah, they're AC/DC bag. Like, no way. like, and it was like before, I think like Light had just come out, but it was before it was when I knew every single song, because I don't anymore, because I have become crotchety and I'm not like listening to their new studio albums that they've come out with, basically.
Nico.
I know. I'm
gonna get a separate hour bonus episode of me being like, dude, and then Life Saving Gun is actually cool when you see it live. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, they've convinced me. It was like the way where I was like really into like songs like Backwards Down the Number Line and Light and all of those like fruity songs, and like the 1.0 haters were around me just being like, what the hell is this? Like, but
they're still there.
So that one sticks out. And then like there was like a run in Fall Tour 2010. It was Sunday, October 24th, 2010. They played Lizards, and that was my first Lizards. And I was rolling with like a ragtag random group of lot kids, because I was still so enamored with the scene and didn't see how dirty it was yet. I hadn't had my Biscuits experience yet. And we would like have tickets, and then someone would print out one floor ticket like multiple times. And so we would use that to like get floor wristbands. And so I was on the floor for that show. And I think like, I don't know if I got on someone's shoulders. I got lifted up. I was like maybe third row for the Lizards, just losing my mind. Because like I was like, Gamehenge was my everything. Because I heard that one Vegas 97 Harpua, and I like Googled like Phish theater story song thing, and like instead of finding that, I found Gamehenge, which I didn't even know existed. And I went on like archive.net and like fishshows.net and Nugs, and I downloaded every fucking Gamehenge show that existed. And because I was a theater kid, I was like, this is my shit. This is a musical production. This is a musical theater production. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe the Lax Bros like this, but they don't like,
Dude,
me doing the Crucible.
Yes. I'm like, no, you guys like improv. Come to my improv show. Yes. And they're like, you're a loser. I'm like, no, you love it. You fucking love it. Anyway.
No, that's like, it was like, I felt Gamehenge made any theater kid, improv kid, performance art kid feel very seen.
For sure. Without a doubt.
And so probably like, 50% of the other guests on this podcast, like I couldn't think of a show that topped like New Year's Eve 2023. Like, and like I'm giving up my sources here, but I heard through one of my little bandmate birdies, who I won't say which of the four, but in Burlington you get to you inevitably run into them, and if you're playing music you inevitably get to share stage with them at some point. But I heard through one of them, and I had to cross my heart, hope to die, keep that secret, that it was that Gamehenge was going to be part of the New Year's Eve gag. And so I made sure that I was not booking a gig. I was not going to go see the Biscuits. I was like, we're skipping Biscuits. Because normally I'll do like the 29th and the 30th or something, and then I'll have like a gig in Burlington. I'll have to fly back. But I was like, no, we're going to Phish. It's happening. And at at some point after the second set, I was losing my mind in it. And in like a optimistic moment, I texted Gordo, was like, hey, can I get on the floor? I don't, he's got other things to worry about. Why would I think that he could attend to that?
He's doing the show.
He's doing the show. It's like separate. Like he's just got off stage. And I'm like, can I get on the floor? Like as if I'm some important person. And much to my surprise, he was like, yeah, let me just connect you with our guy. And a dude came and met me at my section, like a special Phish dude. It was right before they played Famous Mockingbird, and led me down. We were page side. He led me down to the floor, around back through the backstage of MSG, where I saw all of the lizards. Just sitting at cafeteria tables, like watching like old school monitor live streams of the shows. It felt, I was like, this is like the theater that I used to do in middle school, where you'd sit in the cafeteria and like watch the show happening, so you knew when your cue was going to be. And I watched all these just like very casual lizards,
apathetic
just
lizards. Indifferent lizards just like sitting there. And then he went to like lead me out, and he was like, oh, we can't go that way. And I look, and it's because there's a giant fucking mockingbird ready to get launched. And so they led me around, and they like moved the gate and just like put me there, which is kind of the only way that I could have had space to be on the floor, is if I looked important enough that like a big beefy bald dude with a headset like moved a gate and placed me there. I was with my brother, and I was like, you want to come to the floor? And he was like, he was planted in his spot. He was like, nah, I'm happy here. I'm gonna stay here. I'm like, that's good. You're the broadest person I've ever met. And so maybe I'm that guy a lot. I'm like, no, you could tell me we're going onto the stage right now. You cannot move me. Like, no. I'm not going to another location.
Especially if I'm by myself, like I love to just like flit around and try to get, which works if you're a chick who's 5'3". Like you can make your way pretty far, so long as you like aren't like doing like windmill mosh dancing, and you're not like 8 feet tall, which is, I mean, you're pretty.
There's people who can pull that off. There's people who can do the windmill mosh dancing. People are like, you know what? That guy's having a good time. I'm kind of tall, and so I do get in people's way. And so it's usually me in my head, like I've just ruined the person. I just, moved into someone's space who I wasn't in their space all night. And they're like, fucking great. Now this guy's going to be here.
Got this fucking beanpole in front of me. Peace.
Awesome. Golf dad kid is going to be here now. Sweet.
I can't wait to look at your scapulas for the whole show.
Yeah, sweet, dude. Cool shirt you bought tonight, asshole. I guess I'll read the tour dates instead of look at Trey.
Oh man. Yeah, right. Dude, I feel like everybody from the Midwest is tall. That's like, I feel like that's a theme.
A lot of corn. A lot of corn, a lot of milk.
Just makes your bones long.
Yeah. A lot of cold. Cold makes your bones long. Anyway, so you see the whole entire show before the show even happens. You see the mockingbird, you see the apathetic lizards.
The lizards had been on stage, so I knew I wasn't. Oh, okay. The lizard had been up already. I saw the mockingbird. It was like, it was this at the start of the third set that I got.
Oh, gotcha.
Did this Molly fueled request to be like can I please get on the floor? Like the world's amazing. Like nothing.
So much magic is happening tonight. Why not? I'm gonna take my turn.
Oh my god. Happen. So that's the highlight, and then like the obvious highlight was like, and for like other reasons was like this past weekend. Honestly, both of those shows were absolutely tops for me. Although not the first part where I was just sitting waiting, chugging tea on the side of the stage, just like every time that fucking bingo ball machine. I don't think I've ever had so much weight resting on a goddamn bingo ball machine.
On a beach ball floating down a little ramp that was made by some guy. Like you're like, oh my god, is it Is it now?
Is it now? No. It's Arcadia.
So you
Okay.
truly had no idea, right? Like you had rehearsed, but you truly had no idea.
No clue. And like any hater that's like, it was rigged. I'm like, you fucking dude, I wish you could have seen my heart rate for the entirety
Feel
of
my
first set.
anxiety.
Yeah, and I mean that was part of why I think that was part of what prompted them to like hit me up, other than being like, oh, no one can sing this Zeppelin song, we want to do Zeppelin. Connor's like, I know, just the girl for the job.
Yeah. Right.
Was like, and she'll be down to just kick it and wait. I mean, it's like, it's the same thing, because it's like doing an open mic, or you just don't know when you're gonna get called up, and you're like, just have to like sit there going over your jokes in your head and like trying not to get too drunk and just waiting for your name to get called. But there was no on deck. There was no like, okay, in the next song after this one's going to be your song. So it was like truly the worst. It's like when the host forgets to announce who's on deck before they do their bit. And then it's suddenly like, okay, now you're on stage. Like, I mean,
and the main difference I would say between the open mic and that is that there's usually not 10,000 people at the open mic.
I mean, I don't know what kind of
Usually
open
not at
mics
the
you're going
Coliseum.
to.
Oh yeah, Vermont's a huge scene. I mean, in
Yeah.
LA they don't do it at the Coliseum, but I don't know. I don't know how you guys work out there in Vermont, but like fucking yeah, I mean like a lot of people.
It was
I have like, the night before we did the Poorhouse, and someone at the show was like, man, that was a lot of people there last night. That was awesome. You performed for 500 people. That's the biggest crowd I've ever performed for in my life, 500 people. And I'm like, yeah. And I looked up at like the top section. I'm like, that's just that section. That is just the one section,
Yeah. My biggest show before that was playing the small room at Higher Ground in Burlington, the baby room. Like we weren't even big enough for the big room. And I think we sold like 292 tickets out of 300. So it was like 292 people that knew me, already liked me, were there to see me.
Right.
Like it was
That's
like
the other thing.
I didn't have to like win them over or anything.
Yeah.
And this
huge nerves.
Dude, yeah.
Did that dissipate as you took the like as you're getting into the song, into the performance, is all of a sudden we're like, now we're in it and we're
yes. It was like I made it through like the first two verses and was like, okay, we're doing this. I said the words are coming out correctly. I think they're like in key. And then we drop into the bridge and everybody did that correctly. And then I hit that like first big scream, and I had these like soundproof in-ear monitors in, and I could hear the crowd like through the in-ear monitors just go like, I was like, they love me. They really love me. Like, I was like, we're in it now, baby. Like, yes. And that was like definitely like that's when I think you can even see in the recording, I like smile and I'm like, okay, like this is happening. We're doing this. And that's when I relaxed in. Like, I mean, we'd rehearsed it like the night before, like a few times. We'd rehearsed it that day. We even like mocked like what it would be like if the ball were to be called, so that I like had that like a bit of that like anxiety, like waiting in the wings feeling. But I mean, that was the most nerve-wracking part was when Cotter called me like on Tuesday night to be like, because he texted me being like, it's probably not gonna happen, so like don't get your hopes up, but like we were talking about maybe doing Kashmir, and it's like probably not gonna happen, but like maybe we were thinking of having you come sing it. And I was like, I started like panting and like sweating. And then like 2 hours later he called me and he's like, you're in, dude. Like
gulp.
Like, and it was I was like I was in the car on the way home from work, like with my coworker. And after I got off the phone, she was like, you're shaking right now. Like, and so she was like, you started hyperventilating. Like I was like panting. So I think it was like that Tuesday afternoon up through Friday was the most nerve-wracking.
Cool. Just like an 80-hour period. Yeah. Not a big time to be anxious.
Like once we were in it, like and I had like stepped on the stage, we had like played the song, like that helped a lot. And like every person on that crew and like is the nicest, most encouraging, supportive person. Like a bunch of them I went to high school with, because like they're all from Wilton. So there was a sense, it wasn't like I was meeting everybody for the first time, you know? It's like I've known Rick since he was 5. Like I've known, like I had a crush on Trevor when I was like a sophomore in high school. Like I knew them. Like I've obviously played like dozens, if not hundreds of shows with Cotter. And so there was like, once we got on stage and we're running through it, I was like, oh, this is just like any other band. And then I just had to like mix that with like, oh, this crowd, these 10,000 people, this is like any other show that I go to. Now I'm just going to mix these two. But with no one in that room, I just kept telling myself it's like a giant wedding venue. It's like a massive barn. That's all it is.
Old barn.
It's a big old barn, and it's 10,000 people who are going to get married to each other. Like,
yep, exactly. Yeah. Well, and you made a funny comment the next night. I was like, are you like meeting any other friends here? Or do you need someone to like, do you want to hang with our crew for the show? And you're like, my friends are on stage.
Yeah.
Like the people I know here for the show from my hometown are playing the show. So I would love to find a spot with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. Yeah, that's just got it. All of that has to be so surreal. Like there's just so many levels of mind-breaking stuff going on there for you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. It was like, I mean, Goose like used to hit me up, like their like manager at the time would like hit me up on Facebook Messenger in like 2014 to be like can you get us a gig at Nectar's, like at the famous Nectar's in Burlington? And I was like, yeah, like like my band Grundlefunk's played there many times, like
you know, and, of course,
yeah. Yeah, what a fucking
pompous
Grundlefunk. Oh my god, that was like the era when like having like a huge horn section was the thing to do. But like so Goose and Grundlefunk shared a stage like multiple times, like back in like 2013, 2014. And they like, even when we didn't share a stage, I remember Goose coming to play Nectar's, and like there was like nobody there. It was like they were like, who's Goose? This is just another jam band at Nectar's on a weeknight. Like,
well, that whole scene up there seems so cool, and that, you know, just getting to know it a little bit through. Yeah, Cotter actually talks about it in his episode 2 in the season, about that whole scene up there just being, there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool music going on. And so I'm sure it was hard to be like to know who's gonna pop through, or to know like who's gonna be playing the Northampton Coliseum for December in 2025, you know, back in 2014, you know, like,
dude, it's like, it's mind-blowing, because like fucking when I was like, I think in 3rd grade, we had career day. And like, I remember my best friend at the time, like she dressed up as like a veterinarian. I dressed up as a singer. Like,
yeah.
Like I came with like a little plastic microphone, and like, just, I was a total dork. I had huge glasses. I had not come into my own at all, but I was like, I want to be a singer. That's always what I've like wanted to do. But like this was like the culmination. Like when I was a kid, I'd like dream of this shit, like dream of playing in front of that many people. That sounds so cheesy. Because I feel like so many of us have these dreams, you know? But it's really, there's like a photo of like me and my 3rd grade teacher with me, like with a microphone, like holding it up to my mouth, like just being like, yeah, like, and for years, obviously my parents, as all parents do, were like, oh, when are you going to get a real job? When are you like, this can just be a hobby, you know?
It's not out of not support, I'm sure. And like my folks are also very supportive of my shit, but they're like, we would love for you to be able to support a family or yourself.
Yeah. It would be nice to move out of like the poverty, like tax bracket, you know, into like,
without a doubt. Yeah.
But I think within the last few years though, my parents definitely like changed their tune, because I think my brother was like, if you ask her this Thanksgiving whether she's gonna get a real job, she's gonna get up and leave. Like, you gotta just stop with that. And it was weirdly my mom was like, has been like slightly more supportive of like my comedy than the music.
Yeah. She's like, I like the Diva Cup bit. Yeah. That makes sense to me. I don't know these Zeppelin songs.
No, I mean, they've definitely turned around. They love it now.
Yeah.
Especially because like I can actually make a living playing weddings, which is my next gig. I was like coming home, I was like, all right, conquered the North Charleston Coliseum, like what's next? And I look and it's like
Jacob and Amy's wedding.
Exactly. It's like I have to drive like 3 hours to like Saratoga Springs this Saturday to go like play Taylor Swift at a wedding. Like, which
have fun doing Pink Pony Club. You're fucking doing
God, it's gonna be like
it's so good.
It's and like, oh man, on their do not playlist, it's like, do not play Back on the Train, do not play Boogie on Reggae Woman, do not play Fade Away. I'm like, these people are not hippies at all.
Why did I get asked to do this?
Yeah, I mean, because it's gonna pay my rent for the month of January. That's why.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, this is probably a good time to ask then. I would love for you to play my wedding.
Oh my God, stop.
I'm just kidding.
Do you see my face? I do love it. It's like, because it's really such the low pressure. It's the opposite of, playing bingo ball Goose Miss in front of 10,000 people. It's the complete opposite of that. It's like, no one knows who you are. No one cares who you are. You are a jukebox. You are a human jukebox. They care about like Aunt Steve. Yeah, I guess in Vermont you might have an Aunt Steve.
Vermont.
Yeah. They care about Aunt Steve fucking, doing the worm, and like people will have their backs to you for the whole night. Like,
yeah.
And it's like that you're just you're no one. And so you can drink 5 fiddleheads and fucking like scream your way through Shut Up and Dance, and people are gonna love it. They don't care.
Yeah, man.
It's like, and also, I mean, the other thing is like, no one's gonna leave and go check out the wedding down the street. It's like they're like committed to you. Like, and so if they don't like what you're doing, they're gonna drink until they do. And and so it's like they've already signed the contract of like, we're the band, we're gonna make you guys have a good time tonight, and like that's the agreement. There's no like, they're not gonna like go on Jambase or Reddit and like be like,
yo, Nico Suave and the Mothership, and the communication breakdown just didn't sound like it did at the last wedding I went to.
We only do one Zeppelin song at weddings.
Oh, shit.
And we close out with Whole Lotta Love, because I feel like it erases any possible errors that we could have made for the rest of the night. It's like, and also just because we do it well and it's fun.
I'd want the full Mothership show personally, but hey.
We've done that, and
Aunt Steve's gonna have to just deal.
Yeah, dude, it's like
with the dazed and confused in the middle of the night. It's gonna get a little weird.
Dude, it's like, the set lists from those ones where they're like, actually want some Zeppelin are some of the weirdest set lists I've ever made in my entire life. It's like, it'll be like, Ramble On, Shut Up and Dance, like Boogie on Reggae Woman, hooking Hey Ya, and then Communication Breakdown or something. It's a really...
we're like, guys, we're gonna open up the dance floor and then open with no quarter.
There's always like a groom here or there that will want that just has no regard for his bride's lack of interest in jam bands. And
note taken. I'm hearing the note. Okay, fine. All right.
I think we did do a wedding where we had to double encore, and it was like the bride wanted like Juice by Lizzo, and like the like husband wanted No Quarter. Yeah. It was like when do you play those 2 songs in a row? All
right, we're doing Bruno Mars, and then we're doing a violin bow solo from
Yeah, dude. Yes. I mean, I do have a theremin now. I bought a theremin recently, which just because I was feeling left out with my lack of instrument playing.
Like, that's it. I'm getting the dancey one.
The
one you can kind of,
you just put a bunch of effects on it, and you just like wave your hand next to like a radio antenna, and it sounds great. It's like,
God, that's got to be a blast.
It's so fucking fun. It's that and like harmonica, which is hard to make sound bad. Which I taught myself in like a weekend, good enough to just play when the levee breaks.
I love that You are not in the box as a performer. You are a singer. You go do comedy. You are trying out the theremin. You are doing the harmonica. It's you're having fun and seemingly at play in all of these things, which is very cool.
Dude.
Like the first time I got to see you perform was at the Mondegreen thing, and when you played with Cotter and Brian, and that was like a very hard show to walk away from. Like we had to go to the Phish show
and we were walk like, 4 miles to the Phish show.
This is so unbelievable. And that's when a lot of us kind of like knew a lot, at least me and Andrew and a couple of the other people you met that weekend kind of knew really who you were. I hadn't ran into you before. And then, yeah, we're like sending your comedy clips back and forth. Like, she also does this. She also does this, dude. So sick. Wait, she's actually like, wait.
Dude, that's what Alice told me. She's like, we saw your comedy clips weeks ago, and I was like, how the fuck did they find those? Like,
yeah,
that's so real wild.
But that's, I mean, that is all, you know, in interviewing folks for this podcast, not to like hit it too hard on the nose here, but like I try to interview like my buddies who are making stuff, or like fans or friends of mine who I know who are huge fans that have great stories. But all of the people who I've interviewed who are artists all have some sort of story of like, I was a massive fan of this, or I was such a dork for this, or I, you know, waited in line for hours for this. Like this is meant to show you that if you are a fan and you keep working, you keep plugging away, and you keep like committing and dedicating to the thing, you like really never know what kind of weird, crazy life you're going to end up,
dude, I know,
walking into. And, you know, so I feel like your story of getting to play with Goose, and like, yeah, I mean, so many of us have all had the, you know, who are choosing this art path, have had the conversation with mom and dad of like, you know, I don't know what the retirement plan is. I've got no idea, but I know this is for me. I know something's promised here. I don't exactly know what it is, but I'm going to keep just showing up, and we'll see what ends up happening. You know?
I know. And I wasn't even like a singer when, like, I wanted to be a singer, but I didn't start playing in a band until 2013. And prior to that, like, I was like inching my way closer to the stage. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like make like prints and feather earrings. I'm gonna sell them on lot. Okay, cool. It's gonna like get me into this Phish show.
I didn't know you were vending, dude.
Oh, dude, yeah, I walked around selling cheesy little prints that I like from paintings that I had done that I got like copied and turned into prints at like my college print shop for cheap, and I would like walk around selling for $5 at like festivals and shit, and then and then the feather earring trend happened. I jumped on that bandwagon, and then I was doing live paintings at Nectar's for like fucking the Ed and like these other bands of like that certain of a beautiful Burlington Jam era. And then after the live paintings, I like joined Grundlefunk. I can't say that without giggling.
It's too much fun.
It's too good. I joined as like the percussionist. Like, and then they were like, they wanted to do a song that had words, and they were like, "You're a chick, you can sing, right?" And I was like, yeah, totally. Like, yeah. I did theater. I'll figure out how to sing. And it was like a Michael Jackson song, you know, it was not easy. And then like and now, what is it? Like 10 years later, here we are, which is, it gives me like chills thinking about it. It's so cheesy, but it's really fucking so grateful for all of the serendipity that has happened.
I mean, just like I said before, it was just so cool to be around your orbit that weekend, and all of the vibes coming off you were crazy after that performance. And it was, I mean, I was waiting at the top of the stadium to throw the worst pitch of my life while you were doing that song. And so I was like in the middle of, you know, I'm way up in the back. That moment when, like you said, when you drop into the bridge and the crowd went crazy, like it was nuts. I was so glad I caught a little vid of that. That was like one of the 2 videos I took all weekend, because it just felt like it was like whirlwind craziness the whole time. But thank you so much for like hanging and sharing that weekend with us.
Oh my God, thank you guys. I mean, that was like, it was funny because I had like seen your, like, I was like, you're the Hot Wings guy, and you're like, that was like a thing I did one time. Like,
I'm like, yep, I am Cam Herdt, host of Hot Ones,
which was so
world
cool.
famous show, Hot Ones.
It's funny actually, like the when you interviewed Cotter, like it was we had rehearsal like immediately afterwards for like our Zeppelin show at Higher Ground. And he was going off. He was like this like about like this hilarious dude. He's like, you're gonna love him, blah blah blah. And I did not. And then I saw you guys in catering, and I was like, who's that? Like, who's that tall Midwestern man that like Cotter just greeted so tenderly and warmly?
I mean, it's been so nice to meet him as a buddy, because I respect the shit out of him, as we both do. But yeah, I mean, getting to like talk with you two at the end of the show, I'm like, I know these two people. Like I know these two dorks. Like I'm just meeting Cotter and Nico for like really the first times here, but like, oh boy, do I know these two guys. You know,
Yeah,
like
that's
very
dude,
familiar dorks.
I love that feeling that I feel like only like this particular scene can bring, where you
Yeah.
have like very deep yet like sort of like trivial interactions with people that like bond you for life, you know, like you'll meet somebody like fucking like out in the like concourse area like of a Phish show. You'll exchange like, you know, a few words and you'll be like, this person's on my level, like that person knows what's up. Man, I did feel really like seen as a non-athletic person by that pitch though.
Yeah. Hey.
I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I cheered.
Thank you.
I was wooing. I was not booing.
Thank you. That's how I chose to take it. And I'll tell you what, I've thrown some better pitches in my life, but what do you want me to hit the thing right on the nail? What is that?
Yeah.
That sucks. It's like,
I know. I was like, if he hits Naveed in the head, he'll just fall into the tank anyway. So.
That would have been way better. Yeah, I've got a handful of excuses of why that pitch was bad, but ultimately I was nervous in front of 10,000. Like I got up there and I was like I said, we're watching the song. I'm like looking at the target. I'm like, there's a 0% chance I hit this fucking target. I'm gonna throw it as hard as I can. And I don't even think
I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, you know what? I'd rather sing. I would rather like sing in front of 10,000 people than try to fucking throw a ball. Like
this is what I told everyone. I'm like, I would have rather sang Kashmir. I would have rather tried to sing Kashmir. And people have been like, this is really bad, him singing Kashmir. And I think I would have had more fun leaving the stage like, thank you guys, than how I felt after. Like when the ball left my hand, I was like, no.
At least you didn't like lose it off of that balcony, because that's what that would have been me. I would have accidentally like hit Peter in the head or something like that. It would have
the target's like hanging over the railing, so like if you miss to the right, it just goes through to the back of the stadium, which is like a way longer embarrassment. And so yeah, I was aiming for the left of the thing, but I truly hit the ground. I hit the ground with the ball.
I loved it. I thought it was better than I could have ever done, for sure.
You're being nice about it, and all I know is that my brother missed his game henge. My little brother, that's me throwing a bad pitch in front of a crowd and getting booed. I mean, that is my little brother's game henge, dude. Or like going to the Goose event the next day, and there are 500 Goose fans there, not a varsity athlete between them. And every one of them is like, dude, that was an awful throw last night. That was terrible, dude. What? Dude, you can't really throw. Like, just walking around at that event is my brother's game henge.
Oh my God.
That it was 500 Kyles. And he missed it. And so that's kind of part of the
I think you did it. It was a bit. You were doing a bit. It was like I was
doing a bit.
Yeah, you're doing a bit.
It was actually a joke.
Yeah.
It was That's what happens every time I do something wrong. It was just a bit.
As a comedian, your main job is to hold the microphone, not to throw it. So, you know.
I've never been asked to throw anything as a comedian. I'll tell you that right now.
Until this past weekend. And
I usually improvise things. And so I usually make believe I'm throwing something. And then that goes wherever I tell it to. And then I actually threw something in a crowd. But this is gonna one of these days I'm gonna build up to a bit where I like throw Trey a football from the back of the stadium and nail him right in the chest, and everyone's gonna be like, "Holy shit! Whoa!"
He's gonna go into cardiac arrest.
Yeah,
like you're gonna hit Trey.
Yeah, yes. I'll redeem it. The toss was so good it fucking killed Trey, ruined Phish, Cam. got chased out of the arena by 40,000 Wooks.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
That
No, I'm just
maybe yeah.
I'm just glad that I got to appreciate your athleticism, do my song, and then fucking enjoy the rest of that goddamn show. That was like,
Yeah.
and the next night, man, I
Yeah.
could have been standing there until like standing like just in the wings of the stage, like chugging tea, just like nervously chain vaping, just being like, ah, for like a potential total of 8 hours of Goose show. And
What were you gonna do if they never pulled it? Were you gonna
they promised me they would incorporate it into the encore if it didn't get pulled.
Okay.
That was
Right.
like,
You weren't about to just fucking fly to Charleston, be anxious, and then go home.
could there have been a bigger blue balls of an experience if I
You
had
could not get bluer balls.
there's those are like royal blue balls.
Those are
So
the naviest of blue balls. If that happened,
then I would have had to like cap the weekend off. I would have had to like contend with the like fresh flamingo, surf and DJ Mark Menthols and fucking 14-minute
Oh, yeah.
jams and all the other like cool gags that were in there and like all the other cool covers. And I would have had to like, it would have been like, great. Like I've like, this is such a like raunchy analysis, but like, it's like if you're, trying not to come, but you wait too long and then you can't, like it would have been that of me just like having adrenaline fatigue, just standing there being like peaking like beyond my nerves now into just like sheer like anticipatory exhaustion. And then I would have had to like get up and do a thing. And then
you would have sang Benny and the Jets.
And it would have sang Benny and the Jets. I would have, or I probably
you get all the way up there, you're like, Benny and the drill. And they're like, oh,
they're like, yeah. Oh my God. No, I would have I would have sounded like that though. I would have been like, oh, let the sun beat down upon my face. I can't do that voice without it being like a bit New York accent. Like I sound like an extra on Law and Order. Just like,
it's the lady from Monsters Inc. who's like, you didn't file your paperwork, Wazowski. So that was my talk with Nico D'Elisa. I hope you guys enjoyed. Man, like I was just saying, it was just too much fun to be around her and her orbit that weekend. Just, someone having one of the best nights of their lives and getting to perform in front of a lot of people, being around someone who's kind of like, doing a little checklist off of their dreams. Pretty cool moment for everyone around, especially for Nico. So lucky I got to chat with her. If you guys enjoyed that conversation, please subscribe to the YouTube, or rate us on Spotify, rate us on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like every episode of season 4, every conversation, they're all out right now. But you got to get them on Patreon. It's $4 a month. You'll have access to every single conversation. I always record the intros and outros of these episodes like the day before I release the big episode. And so if you're on Patreon, you're just getting the conversations. You're getting right to the jams. So enjoy those. Like I said, subscribe on everything. Check out the other episode that I've got out right now with drummer of Goose, Cotter Ellis. Fantastic episode. But until next time, guys, have a great show.